Okay, so now we're going to get into something called revenue problems. There's still max min problems, but there's just a particular way to do these ones. All right, so let's start into it. Every week, a takeout restaurant sells approximately 2,000 chicken wraps for $1.50 each. Through market research, the manager determines that for every 0.05 increase in price, she will sell 50 fewer wraps. You're probably thinking, oh man, this seems really confusing, but there is a pretty straightforward method to solving these, and they're all going to be kind of the same. And there will be a question like this on your test. Okay, what you do is we're going to start out by saying revenue. So money, right? That's really what we're saying here. Money is going to be equal to, and then in this case it's wraps that we're selling. So you'd say like, oh, my pen stopped working. There we go. Nope. Yeah. Actually, let's say number of wraps, just so we're clear. Number of wraps times price per wrap. And I'll just put price for short here, so price. Which makes sense, right? We're just saying like if you want to figure out how much money you're gonna make, that's gonna be how many wraps did you sell times how much did each wrap cost, right? That's all we're doing. So then let's just put equals again, and let's forget about the second part of this equation first, or the second part of this question. I mean, like this and this. We'll just ignore that for now. They say that every week they sell 2,000 wraps for $1.50 each. So let's just put that into here. So let's say 2,000 wraps. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space here. And it's going to be $1.50 each. So 150. Okay, so we've still got wraps, we still got price. So that's our starting point, right? Now every one of these is going to say like through market research or something, they found that every time your price goes down, or sorry, your price goes up, you're going to get 50 fewer of like whatever it is you're selling. So in this case, if we look at the price part, so it says for every $0.05 increase means adding, so increase. So what I'm going to do is go down here and say, okay, plus 0.05, right? So because that's every time it increases, you get 50 fewer wraps. So fewer means subtract. So that's this side. This was the wraps over here. So that'd be minus 50. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I guess that's not quite it. That's it, except for we are going to call every increase in price, we're going to call that X. So you'd put an X there, right? If you look at this one, every time you have a 0.05 increase, it's going to be 0.05 times however many increases that was. That's what X is. So how many increases is it? That could be 10, that could be 20, it could be anything, right? So we're going to call that X. And that's pretty much the whole thing though, right? Because now that you're at this point, you can actually just graph it in your calculator like this if you like. You could expand it. You could like, foil everything in here and go that times that, that times that, that times that, and that times that. But it'll graph just fine putting in your calculator like this if you put the multiply symbol in your calculator when you do it. So let's do this. And just to make it look a little bit more mathy, I'm going to say R of X. Revenue as a function of X. All right, so we're going to go bracket 2,000 minus 50x. And then I'm just going to move the cursor over to the other side. I have to push multiply or it's going to mess everything up. And then I'm going to put bracket again. And what do we have there? 1.5 plus, here, let's put that, 1.5 plus 0.05 and then X again. And that should be it. So then just push enter. Okay, and you might be saying, okay, where is it? I don't even see it going straight up and down like the last one anymore, right? That's because this one doesn't actually start from 0, right? This one started with 2,000, like there was 2,000 to begin with, and then we're selling less wraps. So this it's still gonna be a parabola, but it's not gonna pass through the origin here. So if we want to figure out what our window is gonna be here, though, let's think about this for a sec. Um, we have wraps times price, right? And the wraps here are going to be like 2,000 minus, I don't know, 50 or something. So let's make it just 2,000 well, think about it as being like 2,000 here. And then on this side, plus, 150 plus 0.05. Let's just make this side 2. So we've got like around 2,000 or 1,500 or something. But we'll say 2,000 so we get it. So 2,000 times like 2. So let's make our max like 4,000. So if we do that, we're going to go menu, Windows Zoom, Windows Settings, Y max. It's going to be, we'll say 4,000. I'm going to make my X max a bit bigger just because remember X stands for the number of times it happens. I don't know. I got a feeling it'll be more than 10. So let's say 20. Okay. So you can see this is what our graph kind of looks like now, right? So it didn't start from 0, it started way up here. Okay, so that's probably good enough though. We don't even really need to see where it hits the x-axis again. We're interested in the maximum again. So let's go menu. Let's go analyze graph, maximum, click to the left, click to the right. So it looks like 5 and then 3.06 times 10 to the 3. Okay, so let's try to make sense of what this vertex means. So on our graph, we've got R of X going up, right? That's our revenue that we're talking about is the Y-axis here. Our X-axis, we said, was the number of changes, right? That was the number of times that this thing happened, or the number of times there was an increase in price. Okay, so that vertex there means that there was 5 increases in price. All right, so now that we know that, let's look over here at A. It says, what price for a wrap will generate the maximum revenue? Well, remember, price for a wrap was this one here, right? So price for a wrap was 1.50 plus 0.05 times the number of changes. The number of changes was 5. So if we want to know what the price per wrap is, so down here, we'll say A. That's going to be, so price is going to be equal to $1.50 plus 0.05 times what the X was at that maximum point, times 5. So if we just put that in, the price is going to be, $1.75. All right, and then part B is even a little bit simpler. Part B, shouldn't say even a little simpler. I know this is probably not that simple. Part B is this, right? So it's saying what's the maximum revenue? That's the Y value, right? Maximum revenue was our Y axis here. So at that maximum point, it would be that. So we'll say max rev for revenue is going to be 3.06 times 10 to the $3. But that might not make much sense to kind of look at, to think about what that means. So this is times 10 to the 3. So really that means that decimal place is going to move over 1, 2, 3 times. This is the same thing as $3,060. Okay, so I'd like you guys to go ahead and try the next 2 years, so 6 and 7. And just follow the same process. So just look back to your notes here. And then you can see that we start off with revenue. So it's going to be REV again. It's going to be, well, 160 members times $400 per year in membership fees, right? So those are our 2 numbers we started with, just like we started with 2,000 and $1.50 the first time. So start with those. And then it says a market study, like I said, I was going to say that every time, predicts that every $25 price drop, so would you add or would you subtract, is going to give you 20 more people will join, right? So it's going to be the same type of setup. And so see if you can figure out what price should management use to earn the most revenue. right? So remember, one of these is going to be price. So this would be like members times price. So it says what price, you're answering what would this part in brackets be. Okay, so go ahead and do that. When you guys are done, I'd like you to see how you did. So I'm going to make a video on how to do these questions after, but I'd like you to try it on your own first, please.